Hey guys, the martial arts enthusiast here. Today I want to do a comparison video between what are essentially my two favorite carry knives. That's the Spyderco Delica and the Benchmade Pika II. This particular one is branded HK, but that's just a branding issue. It says HK, not Benchmade. It's just what they stamped on there. Anyways, I've carried both of these knives for a few years now. They're both very similar, but I've gotten an appreciation for the pros and cons of both of them. I typically carry a blade that's just a little bit short of 3 inches. That's because Illinois law is any blade that's 3 inches or over is a Category 1 weapon, which is the same as essentially having a gun. So both of these are close to 3, but they're a little bit short of it. I believe the blade length on the Delica is 2 7/8 inches, so it's very close, but not quite. My first serious knife was the Delica, which is an excellent quality knife, high quality VG10 steel. But I eventually stopped carrying it because it got too stressful for me. I lost my first one of these. It actually went into a dumpster and I didn't know it. And then finally, one day I was cleaning the bathroom with this one. It was a hot, steamy, humid environment. The steel, the VG10 steel, actually tarnished, which shocked me because usually not much happens with VG10. So I went to go get more of a budget knife, the HK Pika, which is similar, but much cheaper and much less stress for me to carry and worry about something happening to it. The only problem I've really had with the HK is the pocket clip. The pocket clip, you can see, is a 2-screw design. If I can get that in line with the camera. The problem with that is it gets real loose and it rattles around a lot. I've tried fixing this with Loctite. The first set of screws I Loctited, they eventually got stripped out. I put in another set of screws that had Loctite already on them. They got stripped out. I actually have Spyderco brand screws in here now, and they are also Loctited. So I actually have gone back to using the Delica again. Actually, what I've got from my third carry knife is another Delica. It's a fully serrated Delica. And it's an older model. Again, this is a different pocket clip from the regular Delica. This is 4-position, this is only 2-position. But anyways, the reason you don't have the problem with the Delica's clip coming loose is it's 3 screws versus only 2. So that's a lot less. There's a lot less play in which this can get rattled and come loose. But anyways, what are the differences between the two knives? Well, I already mentioned this is a VG10 steel. It doesn't tarnish very easily, whereas the Pika is 9CR13 steel, a much cheaper steel, but it still gets the job done. They both have nylon handles. One feature about the Delica is its bushings that makes opening much smoother. When I first started carrying this knife, I could close it by just depressing this and this would fall. I wouldn't have to worry about it cutting my finger. The HK, on the other hand, opens much faster, but it also, it's not really doing it now, but if I would just press the lock back, it would tend to fall and could possibly cut me. Ooh. One other thing about this blade that's kind of a problem is this point right here. I'm not sure how well you can see, but if you're cutting rags or something that's fibrous, this will tend to get hung up on that. Also, plain edge is not good for cutting rags. Spyderco's serrations, they're much better if you're going to cut a rag or something that's made of cloth. Ergonomically, the Delica is much better ergonomically. It has a larger thumb hole, which when this is closed, because you could, not only is the thumb hole larger, but you could see there's a more austere ramp. when you pull this out of your pocket, your thumb goes right in there and it doesn't rub against anything. That's an important feature ergonomically. The Pika II, it's close, but the thumb hole is much smaller, and I don't know how much you can appreciate this on camera, but that thumb hole does go into that handle a little. So when you first put your thumb in there, you can feel it brush up a little bit there in getting it open. So it's not quite as good ergonomically. If I can line up with the camera. I think, however, it is, to put it one way, a much sexier looking knife. It's definitely much pointier without having a steer of a thumb ramp. And the more useful feature of this knife that separates it from the Delica is the tip is much pointier. So if you need a knife that's good for stabbing or just getting your tip inside whatever you're cutting, the Pika II is definitely a much better choice. Let's see if I can get this set up again for you. So, in short, the Delica is a better knife, better steel, better quality. But if you're looking for a budget option, the Pika II is an excellent budget option. Like I say, the only trouble I've had with it is the pocket clip. That's kind of annoying. Overall, I think the Delica has much better cutting power. If I can get this on camera. That's the Delica. Whereas this will cut. Yeah, it's still very close. You see it kind of hung up there a little bit. Not quite as good, but very close. Considering both the knives are pretty comparable to each other, it's not too bad. The other advantage of the Delica is that it is a harder steel, so it will retain its edge for longer. With the Pika II, I've noticed what I like about it, with the softer steel, it's much easier to sharpen. However, what I've also noticed over time is through use, the blade does tend to chip on a microscopic level if you really look close. So you have to decide what's better, harder steel or sharpens easier. This knife does show more wear over time, that I can tell you, having actually used it. My first Delica I dropped it at work. I dropped it point down on a piece of cast iron steel. I was terrified I broke the tip. The tip was fine. Well, almost fine. It was damaged on just the slightest microscopic amount, but you couldn't tell. Of course, like an idiot, I pointed it right at my eyeballs. I was looking, is that damaged? Is that damaged? I couldn't tell. Don't ever point a knife right at yourself. Just saying. So anyways, I think I pretty much covered the differences between the two knives. I'll leave some links down in the description below for Amazon or wherever I can find a good deal on these knives if you're interested in maybe purchasing one. But yeah, if you like the video, like, subscribe. Thank you for your time. Peace out.